Well, thanks for the invitation, Chris. That I've spent a whole strategy day today. So one of the great things about being financially independent is you get a chance to spend not 8 hours a day working for somebody else, but thinking about yourself. And I spent pretty much the whole day with Simon Zucci today. And what we were doing today is, well, two things. I gave him a gift, which I'm going to share with you. But the second thing is, we think all this stuff that's going on with the tax problems at the moment, forgetting the judicial review on property, is there's a golden opportunity in there as well. So as was correctly said by whoever said about the set of the sail, and it's the same wind that blows on us all, every single problem affords an opportunity in disguise. And I want to make a point to Ben, because Ben was the very first person he spoke to tonight when I heard him speak with Chris. And he said something about fear. And I want to make a couple of things. Usually I do presentations to people who are already in property, like Karen was with me all day Saturday, right? Yeah, so she spent the whole day with me on Saturday. And I'm hearing that some of the language around people is, you know, whenever you do property, whenever you get into any kind of world of activity that builds wealth, do you find there's a strange language you've got to learn? You know, you've got to know the language of yield, of ROI, of AST, of HMO, of rent-to-rent, of lease options, commercial to resi. Article 4 I heard earlier on, right? And oh, crumbs, it's like, wow, it's a language. But you have to learn the language if you're serious about being wealthy. You just can take your time to get the language. And I would say, if you're in a group, a trusted group of people, like tonight, I hope, never be fearful of asking a question about the language. Because what keeps fear going, Ben, is not asking the question that you should ask. Okay? So while I've got a presentation, I'm going to be a bit freaky, and maybe I'll just go off piste a bit, depending on what questions you ask me. Is that all right? Mm-hmm. So rather than present to you, I'd rather work with you. And by the way, I don't have a course to sell at the end. Okay, and I've got a gift, and I'll tell you the gift because it was fun for me, because I've written a couple of books, and the last book I wrote, which was about how to build wealth by collaboration. I believe wealth is created best by people working together, not being on your own. Who agrees? Yeah. Right, cool. We're in the right place. Now, I spoke to Simon Zucci, who I've been working with now for 3 or 4 years, and I speak at his mastermind groups and teach them stuff. And I said to him, Simon, what did you think of my book? Guess what he said? Haven't bloody read it, Kevin. I said, why haven't you read it? Now, I don't know if you know anything about Simon, but Simon has a slight eye issue. And you'll see him constantly, his eyes constantly have to focus and refocus. And he said to me, I just don't like reading. Does anybody else not like reading? Okay, so Ian doesn't like reading. Right? Some people don't like reading stuff, so you have to understand how people communicate. So I said to Simon, which was, we meet every 90 days, and I said to him, by the time I see you again, I'll have the book narrated on audio for you, and you can have the first copy. I gave him that copy today. This is the audio of the book. 90 days it took me to do it. I didn't do it. Somebody else did it. But that's me, so I do own it. And there's a copy for all of you as well. So the second gift is to Chris to give to you. Okay? Because I really rate the fact that Chris is a bit of a good boy and a bit of a bad boy. He's a good boy because he burnt his bridges, but he's a bad boy because he burnt his bridges. Right? So I want to talk to you, Ben, about fear. Right, there's a great coach called Dan Sullivan. Has anybody heard of Dan Sullivan? No? Good guy to look up. He's a coach, and he's a Canadian coach, and he runs a business called Strategic Coach. And he said something about fear that just reached out to me, Ben, and I hope it reaches out to you. He says this: every time you're about to make a breakthrough in your life, you're going to feel the fear. And you've got two choices. Succumb to the fear, get back in the status quo and stay mediocre, or break through the fear and expect it the next time. You must break through the fear. So every time something new is happening, so those of you in property thinking, oh, there's fear going on with with the government changing the rules and so on? No. There's some fear there. There's big opportunity there. Lots and lots of people will be very overgeared in property, meaning they've got more mortgages than they really should have. And some will be selling their properties, and there'll be lots of opportunity to acquire property quite cheaply, I think, in the coming months. I hope it doesn't happen, and there's a bit of a review to try and prevent the thing happening, but there's always opportunities. Now, who's been on holiday? Who likes holidays? It's interactive, you are allowed to participate, right? Now, when you go on holiday, do you like it when somebody writes a brochure and says, at 9 o'clock in the morning, you walk to the square and you wander around, and then at 10 o'clock you have a coffee, and then at 10:30 you go off and walk somewhere else? No. You have to go on a journey of discovery. So, Ben, do stuff. Find yourself in a place and you go, I don't like it. I don't like this place. And you turn round and go back. And if you make a mistake with someone who doesn't do the right thing by you, that's okay, but I call it falling forward. Yeah. You make a mistake and you go, what was the lesson? If you lose anything, don't lose the lesson. And you don't have to say what the lesson is out loud, but you can learn the lesson. And the lesson is always, if you had the benefit of hindsight, what would you have done differently? Due diligence. Now, why do people not do due diligence?
To be honest, I think do some.
Okay.
He's related to quite a famous property company.
Right.
And I left the name, and I spoke to several people who've done one of his
okay. Courses. But in general terms, rather than focus on any bad experience, why do sometimes people make light work of due diligence? Do you think?
Don't see the value in it.
They don't see the value in it. Okay, maybe.
Sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. You kind of feel like, one of the things, I think there are two reasons I see a lot. First of all, the kind of people, what day of the week is it? I've lost track. Wednesday? Wednesday. Right. I was up in Peterborough doing the VIP thing, presenting to the VIP group yesterday. And so I was a bit, and then today's with Simon and then you, and so I'm a bit tired, which is why I might not stick to my presentation. But where was I? Oh yeah, Wednesday. Right, so on a Wednesday night at 8:30, what kind of people do that? Apart from being mad ones, what else? Come here at 8:30 on a Wednesday night when you could be watching whatever. Right, so you take action, which means, who's heard of wealth dynamics in this room? Anyone? Okay, if you haven't heard of wealth dynamics, Google wealthdynamics.com. Okay, and find out what your wealth dynamic is. What that means is your natural path of least resistance. Now, in case you're not surprised, which you won't be, my natural path to create wealth, I'm a star, which means I love communicating with lots of people. So ask me to look at a spreadsheet or do a bit of due diligence on my own, it's not going to happen. So I see stars and people who are like you coming to things like this often don't do enough due diligence because it's not on your natural makeup. You need to connect with people who can do it for you. And part of the reason why I created WealthBuilders is to place where people can be trusted. So I do 7 layers of due diligence. I won't tell you what they all are. And we're creating a rating system like a TripAdvisor for connecting with people. So while I can't speak loudly about Chris and your program, I can say they're on the right track, because if you are serious about escaping the rat race, and who's actually serious or who's just kidding? Who's serious? Everybody's, no hand, come on, participate, right. So everyone in this room is serious, right? 3 things you need. Now, they're a variation of your own, sir, but they're the 3 things I think you need. ESC, what are they?
Equity.
No?
Education.
Education first. Because you spend so much time with me, is it all right just to ask you to let people have the journey of discovery for themselves? And I hope to find something of value to you, Karen, because I love your participation. And what I have to say about you is I love your energy. Right? So I love that. Right. Education is the first thing. So before you spend any money, before you start doing things, get educated. Which means you've got to ask the question, who do I trust to provide the education? Well, if you trust these guys, it's a good place to start. Or if you resonate with Simon, I resonate personally with Simon Zutzi. He trusts me, I look after his pension, I look after his team, so it's cool for me. I resonate with him. Doesn't mean I don't resonate with Progressive, it just means I resonate with Simon a bit more. So I'd probably go to Simon if it was me because it's me. But doesn't mean anything because you can go with who you resonate with. You might like the stripy shirts, right? And you go with them. But you must get an education. And the question you should have for me is, if I haven't got any money, Kev, where am I going to get my education from? And there are loads of places you can get education.
YouTube.
YouTube, right, okay. Who's heard of the cone of learning? What is a cone of learning, Chris?
Basically, it's sort of a series of activities that allow individuals to retain certain information. The worst one is where we taught at school, which is to read, and the best one is where you actually be in a trusted environment where you actually try out the skill.
Right. Did anybody hear that? So if you Google cone of learning, right, because you're going to learn. So when you Google cone of learning, you realise there is some stuff you do that's valuable to do as background, but it's not valuable to use as taking action. Who learned how to drive a car? Okay, so if I'd said to my youngest son, who's 18, who scared the hell out of me when he was driving, but anyway, if I said to him, I'm old enough to remember you just have the highway code, right? Now they do theory tests, but if I just said, my youngest son, Simon, right? So Simon, just read the highway code, now go get in the car. Make sense? No. You can't just read a book. You can't just Google something. Google is great, but Google is terrible. See, the thing about Google is like trying to grab, if I'm thirsty, I want to grab this amount of water, right? If I go to Niagara Falls and try and get a drink, what's going to happen? I'm going to be overwhelmed. And those of you on the beginning of your journey trying to get out of the rat race are going to be overwhelmed with education. Find somebody you resonate with. Start doing a little bit of background reading as the starting point towards taking action. But always, always take the next letter seriously. Which is, oh, by the way, one of the ways to get a good education, who can afford £7 a month?
£6.95 for up, yeah.
Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
the magic for free as well.
Okay. So, Chris is, I have nothing to sell here. I'm not a shareholder in YPN, but I'm going to say to you, Google this. But don't Google it, just put in Your Property Network. Okay? It's a magazine. If you go to them directly, you get one copy for free and a copy of Simon Zutzi's book called Property Magic. If you talk to me and connect with me, I'll get you 3 copies for free and the book, okay? Because I get a special deal because I'm well connected. So come to me, you get 3 for free. Now, when you get 3 for free, you'll be able to read very simply when you're on the loo, having a cup of tea, whatever, just some stories. And they're quick and easy. And what I find with property people is they bare their soul. They give you everything. They share with you everything, right? And because they're in a magazine, they don't have something to sell you. They're just promoting themselves because they have an agenda of credibility. Credibility is a big issue, by the way, particularly if you want to find how you can get into property with more money, which is my agenda, right? I know I'm off it, but hopefully it's useful stuff. So get the magazine and start getting curious. Because if you want to create wealth, you have to understand 2 subjects. And it's not S and C. It's how to create value. So what do I mean by value? What do I mean by value?
Something that's worth something to somebody else.
Right, something of value to somebody else that improves some part of their life. So Chris is trying to create value for you by helping you escape the rat race within 12 months. Yep. I try and help people achieve their wealth in a faster, easier, safest way possible, so they don't make mistakes. I've been doing this in WealthBuilders for just on 5 years. Not one person has lost a penny. Nobody. We don't let people make mistakes. You don't make mistakes if you do it carefully and cautiously. Okay. Where was I? Oh yeah, create value. So you create value by understanding that somebody needs something that they don't have that they would like. So if we've got, so who said they really can't build properly because of time? Who said that? Ian, right. So if Ian's time strapped and he can't find the time, how does he get leverage on his time?
He gets a sourcer.
Okay, but what could you do if you had time?
JVing.
You could say to him, Ian, what precisely is it you don't have that you would like, and I'll go and do it with you, or I'll go do it for you. If you know how to create some value, and it might be looking around for property opportunities or doing due diligence on someone. I've got a brilliant guy in Newcastle. He can squeeze so much value out of a small piece of space, it's untrue. And I send people to go and see him. Now, who's going to go to Newcastle on their own? But if you've got a connection to somebody who's just brilliant, you either say, I'll go and check him out if you've got a trusted partner, or how many hours would it take you to find that one person who's so brilliant, it'd take you years, you might never even find him. So you get your time acceleration either by somebody doing something for you, or you saying, I'm willing to spend some time, how does somebody who knows more than me, can they accelerate me so I can get there quicker? So he can either find it, or you can provide it. So think about where you can create value. And the second thing is leverage. I don't mean debt leverage. Debt leverage means borrowing money to control more things. If you want to create wealth, you've got to, first of all, create value. Money flows to value. If you've got a job, who's got a job? Okay. So whoever's got a job, make up a salary, so I'm not asking you salary. Just pick a figure, but make it a big one, and people think you've got a real big salary. Jonathan?
75k.
75k. Right. What he's got there is he's going to his employer, and his employer is perceiving that he's going to create at least a multiple of 75k's worth of value for his employer to want to carry on paying him. Now, the challenge with that, of course, is you're giving away your IP. How many paychecks are there in life if you work for 40 years?
40 times.
Yeah, can anybody do the maths on 40 times 12, please? 480. So if you've got 480 paychecks, for a first start, you're not going to escape the rat race in 12 months, are you? You're going to escape the rat race in 40 years. And how much can you save in 40 paychecks or 480 paychecks? Not a lot. It's because if you're trading time for money, here's the way to think about it. Your IP is worth £37.50 per hour. So most people work 2,000 hours, take your salary, divide it by 2, and that's your IP's worth. So if you're on 100 grand, how much is your IP worth?
What do you mean by IP, sorry?
Intellectual property, thank you. Ben, you're a star. If you don't get something I say, just shout. Intellectual property, one of the ways to build wealth. One of the worst songs in the world generates £600,000 a year, played at Christmas every year, and I hate the bloody sound of it. What's the song? It's Slade. Jeez, I hate that song. 600 grand a year for writing that song. Wow.
Can you just go back to the brief calculation you did?
Yeah.
Divided by,
Yeah, so if I'm on 100 grand,
yeah.
it's 50 quid an hour.
Okay.
If I'm on 20 grand, I'm on 10 quid an hour and probably just above minimum wage. But that's the point. You know, your IP, your intellectual property is being traded in time for money. So you already know how to create value, but now you know what you want to do is create value you can keep. So in order to build wealth, you've got to create an asset. An asset is something you own that puts money in your bank account. So it shows up because you don't have to show up. You can pass it on to good causes. It doesn't end because you're not there. So if you've got a job and you stop working, do you get paid? No. So you have to find ways to create value. If you can create value for someone and they can give you a share of that value forever, if you're serious about escaping the rat race, you must find that value. You must find it, otherwise you're just kidding yourself. And then leverage, so if money flows and you create one stream of value, you've just got one stream. If you get leverage, you've got volume. So I'll show you later, I've got a number of businesses. So if I've got multiple teams with multiple streams of income, and I've got lots of income streams flowing into my river, how do I feel about what's happened to the stock market? I don't give a hoot. How do I feel about whether we're in Brexit or not? Whether we exit or not? Don't care. What do I feel about what's on telly? Don't care. What do I feel about, I don't care. I don't care about sight. I just switch it off. Anyway. So the S is support. Now what I mean by support, I'm going to go way out of time, aren't I? Never mind. You can always have me back again. Support is surrounding yourself with people who will keep you accountable. Starts off with finding somebody in this room you kind of like. What?
You keep me accountable.
I do, yeah. Surround yourself with, and find one person who doesn't think like you in this room or in the group that you can just chat with. So you don't have to feel anything. Because if you're with a mentor, say you were talking to Chris or Rohit or me, and you're not really doing it, you feel bad, right? But if you've got somebody else, if you're talking to Ian and Ian's talking to you and you say, I'm not quite doing it, you're supporting each other. You're surrounding yourself with people who want the same as you. But try and choose people with a different viewpoint. So if you love detail, you love the big picture, that works better than if both of you love spreadsheets, you'll just disappear up your own AH, trying to work out whether you're going to do something or not. Analysis paralysis. You've got to find big picture people and detail thinkers all at the same time. And the last one, and by the way, other support is a mentor. Please find a coach or a mentor. Find somebody. And the last one, which I think is critical, is connection. What I mean by that is to cross the bridge from one side to the other. Who's the best person to guide you across the bridge? This is the bridge. We'll get you from in the rat race to the other side, so you're never in the rat race forever. Forever. Ooh, I like the sound of forever. Ooh, forever. Never have to worry about it. It takes work, but it's doable. Maybe not in 12 months. I think it's tough to do it in 12 months. I think it really is tough. But it can be done definitely within 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. What do you need? Somebody already been there and done it. So, that again, find somebody before you take action who can talk the language, slow it all down, do it in slow motion, so you know how to do it. Okay. So when I talk to property people, I say this. Because the limitation for most property people, whoever they are, is at some point they're going to run out of money. Doesn't matter how much money you got, you're going to run out. And most people run out of money before they run out of their ambition, because that's the nature of creative people. Now, there is one number that I should have put here. What is it?
None.
It's not none, Ben. It's not none, because none is a cop-out.
One.
Yeah. I should have put this up for you. That if I talk to Karen and she says I want 20 HMOs for £20,000 a month, some of you won't compute that. You go, it's too big. It's overwhelm. How much funding do you need to get one? That's what you've got to work out. How much education do I need to learn what's the one? How many things can you focus on at one time? Even the women. No, how many should you focus on? One. The one thing. Find one thing, and if you're wrong about it, Ben, what do? Turn round in the cul-de-sac and walk back again and go, I thought it was buy to let, but I realised the return on investment was too low. I thought it was HMO, but I didn't really fancy dealing with the tenants. I thought it was whatever it is, find the one thing. And if the one thing is you've got no time, find somebody who's got time. If the one thing is you've got no time, find somebody who can accelerate your time, who knows more than you. So you either find someone to leverage what you already know. So some of you said you already know what you want to do, just don't have time to do it. Or couldn't somebody else do that for you? So find out what you need for one. Because let me tell you, the only thing that's limiting you is time. Because there are unlimited resources of money. Unlimited. I'll share with you some ways to get the money. Right. Just so you know then, so these are my businesses, just so you know. So I've got a legal business, an IFA, a SASS practice, a funding practice, all of which multiple teams flow into my life. So, oh, right, great question. I'll cover that later. So I look after about 120 million of other people's money. That means people trust me, right? I know how to get money. So if you want to learn how to get money and you want to cross the bridge, who should you talk to? You. Yes, you should talk to me. Or via Chris, because Chris is learning the same skill. And £50 million worth of property funded through these techniques. But you'll need to find one. So if I can do 50 million, can I show you how to do one? Yes, I can. All you've got to do is connect and take some of the lessons and take some action on your own. Because I can be a connection for you, but I can't. What's the A? I know I'm not going to go APE, but if there was an A, what's the A? Action, yeah. You must take the action. But I recommend you take guided action. So you might want to join these guys so they can guide you into the first action you take. Okay. Okay. So maybe Chris and his team can provide you with the education on the what strategy. I can definitely help you with the funding, because that's all I do. I just love funding things. Because it's so creative, you can create money out of nothing. So much fun. So as you imagine it, when I speak to property people, what do they focus on, do you think, property people? The number of deals they can do or the money? What do you think they focus on? They don't?
No, number of deals.
No, they don't. They never focus on the money. That's why they always run out. I'm just talking about these two flows, if that's all right, Tom. So they focus on how many deals they can do. They focus on looking for deals. How many, can they find a property? Can they find an HMO? Can they find things? What they forget is the money. They forget that they're going to run out of money and that they need a constant flow of both. So do you think you could, from a standing start, can you attract other people's money? It's hard, isn't it? Because what holds people back, I know Rohit was saying you could get somebody to do a JV with you, but that's kind of tough on your own, isn't it? What's the problem with that? Doing a JV with someone if you've got no track record? Credibility, yeah. So those people who've got money, let me just go to, oh, by the way, this is my fun line. I always throw some wacky things in, a bit cheeky. So when property people start off doing their work, they usually use their own money first, and we're going to talk to you about if you've got no money how to do it. Then they go to friends and family, and then they go to strangers, and they can't do that. They don't know how to do that. So they get to this point in their career, which I call NFLs. Anybody work out what that means? No funding left, no friends left. And when I was there yesterday, I'll have to delete this, and he said, no fucking luck. Yeah, no luck left. This is where the money's at. Okay, so this is where people have got money, and we're going to play a game of empathy. What does empathy mean, sir?
Relating to what people are saying.
Yeah, wearing other people's shoes. I like yours. Cool. Right. So thinking about understanding. So how you create value is always understanding somebody else's point of view first, not yours. Because if you understand your point of view first and not theirs, you're not thinking about their value. And wealth is created by, first of all, creating value for others, not for yourself. You must create value for others, otherwise you'll never be wealthy. Because there's a limit to how much you can create value for yourself, but if you create value for others, that's a Jim Rohn quote somewhere, isn't it? or Zig Ziglar. You know, you can have everything you want in life if you help other people get everything they want in their life. So focus on them. So, now, if I've got, if I live in a very nice house in Surrey, which I do, there's no mortgage on it, which I have, and I meet you for the first time, sir, and you tell me you're thinking about a property journey, and you say, Kevin, I've noticed you've got a nice house, no mortgage on it. Would you like to remortgage your house for me, please? What's my answer?
The second one is off.
NFL.
Yeah. NFL. Okay. So, if I've got money in my cash account, money in the bank, might I lend you a little bit of that?
That's negotiable, yeah.
Maybe. So we've got a maybe there, right? I like maybes.
You're gonna give a good percentage back, yeah?
Okay, well, we'll talk about that. So we're now getting into empathy, right? But these are the places where people have got money. And if you think about what's happening in the world today, people are frustrated, right? Really frustrated. Because wherever their money is, they're not getting a return. They want a better return. They do. They genuinely do. But they don't want it from you unless you can prove something. You can get the return. You're credible. You've got trust on your side. Now, how do you get trust if you haven't got a track record?
Work with people that do.
Yeah. So, huh?
In your experience, pensions, what are they returning at the moment?
I'll come on to that. But if it's say we had a competition, right, in the room tonight, and I said, right, Chris, we got a £5,000 prize for anybody who can raise £1 million worth of joint venture funding in the next 12 months. How many of you would say you'd win? Apart from you.
There's always one.
Yeah? You'd feel what? Tell me how you'd feel, Ben.
How the hell am I going to do that?
Okay. Okay. So let's say we did this. Say we did this. Ben, what we're going to do, right? We're not going to tell them, but you and I are going to work together.
Sure.
Okay? I'm going to tell you everything I know, show you everything I've ever done, give you every lesson I've ever learned. Do you think you win?
100%.
Well, hang on a minute. How long did that take? Now, how long did that take? Like 30 seconds? So if you can get that confidence in 30 seconds,
Sure.
thanks.
Thank you.
So all you've got to do is be committed. If you're committed, you'll get the right education, you find the right support, and you make the right connection. It's not that difficult. You just have to find somebody who can share with it and show you. Now, some people will, some people won't, but it's possible to find it. I get people all the time come up to me and say, what can I do to help you guys at WealthBuilders? I get it all the time. Karen? And others. Anyway, there's your answer to your question, Chris. So,
The stock market's been smashed.
this is, rather than get into detail, will you do me a favour? For the purposes of this evening and this evening only, will you just trust the numbers? Will you do that? So if I say, on average, the average pension investor in the long term gets 5%, will you just believe it's true?
Yeah, okay.
Just for now.
Yeah.
You can check it later. There's a great app if you want to have the app to prove it. It's called Old Mutual Risk Discussion Tool. So those of you who love detail, go Google that one. Old Mutual Risk Discussion Tool, right? And it will show you it's 5%. Now, if I'm getting 1% in the bank, how do I feel? Right. So if I want, how much do we want? Did you say you wanted a month? 3.5, yeah? So let's call it 40 grand ish. If I want 40 grand, how much money do I need in the bank at 1%? 4 million. Okay. So unless I've got 4 million in the bank, I can't get 40 grand. Yeah. And I'm getting 1. So what's the ROI, return on investment, possible in a decent piece of property? That's what we're talking about, property. So you don't have to do it, do you? You just have to understand it. Because if you came to me and said, Kevin, I'm brilliant at speaking, I'm a brilliant person with energy and I'll talk to people, what's the return on investment you're getting? And I'll go and tell people about that. Do you need to do it yourself? No, you don't need to do it yourself. You just need to know how it's done. So what would be a good ROI? Anybody apart from Karen?
8 to 12%.
Huh?
8 to 12% seems achievable.
Okay. Well, of course, things are infinite potentially, but in property, if you say I'm going to get you an infinite return, I might not believe you. But if you say to me, "Hi, I'm Nigel. I'm a property expert based in Berkshire, and I just love to share the returns that I get on property, and I get on average about 12 to 15% on my investment. And I just love to connect with people who are frustrated and deeply, deeply pained by the very low return that they're getting in their pension and in their cash." Do you think somebody might reach out to you and say, "Can you show me how?" Was that difficult to say, by the way? Shall I say it again? Okay. Hi, I'm Nigel. I'm a property expert based in Berkshire. And I just love sharing the very high returns I get on property, usually in the region of about 8 to 12%. And I love to share that return with people who are frustrated with money they've got in cash and in their pension. Even if I switch it around, it doesn't make the message any different, does it? Whether I say pension first or cash first. What do you like about that? What do you like about that? Or maybe you didn't like it. It only just works for me.
It's an indirect sale. You're not selling anything, so it's not coming across as very direct.
Right.
So it's indirect, first of all. Second
Okay.
of all is one caveat I'd slightly change is I would suggest is, do you know anybody that
Fine.
rather than directly sell?
I get that. And this is not
Are you saying
necessarily...
you help them, so they feel
Yes.
like you're helping
So here's a question.
About them, not you.
Here's a question then. So if you have money in cash getting 1%, and I'm getting, what did we say, 12? So if I give you 6, and I'm giving you 6 times the return you've got on money in cash, can I ask you a question? How long do you want to get that return for? What's the answer? Forever. We like forever, don't we? Because if people do things with you forever. Now, here's my experience. You only need to find one person. Because if you live up to your end of the bargain, how many times will they repeat that exercise with you? Yeah? They will keep going. Because if you find a return of 6 times what they're getting, and you say it's time to pay your money back so you can get back to 1%, you're going to go, what? Can you do it again? So this is what I want you to overcome the fear. It's not you need to get 10 properties or you need a 3 million portfolio. You need one person to say yes. And I'm going to show you how you can create the credibility so you can find that one person. Who's up for that?
Yes.
Cool. Is this adding value?
Yes.
Okay, we got a question?
Can you do this without the involvement of Big Brother FCA?
Okay, so let's answer the question about FCA. So what the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, are worried about one main thing. They're worried about you offering equity-based returns, meaning risk returns, to people who don't understand what they're doing. And there's a fancy title that we know, FCA PS 13.3, and it basically says you can't do that. Now, I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm not suggesting you go out and start speaking to lots of people. But if you find people you know, or people who are connected to you in some way, or friends or family or other people, and you're talking about not equity, but lending, so loans,
There's also
Yes, it is.
You can't publicly speak and say, I will offer you 8%.
I didn't say that, did I? What did I say? I said share. I said share. I didn't say what return I'll give you.
It's not a fixed return.
No. We're getting into detail now, aren't we? Right? All you have to understand is there are people out there. Who believes there are people out there frustrated?
Yes.
Right. So we can, if we go too deep into the detail of it, you just get bogged down again. Okay.
Okay, I have a question. Apart that there are people frustrated about what they get
Yeah.
in return on their pension
Yeah.
and so on, there's a lots of people which they don't have even idea.
They don't have what?
They don't have idea that they
Yes,
actually
yes, yes, yes.
Like I've got friends which they put money in a bank, yeah, and I wanted to use that tactic, and they were still like, no, I prefer keeping in the bank. That they still don't understand how the inflation works against them and the percentage they put in the bank.
Well, look, it's true to say that not everybody wants to become wealthy. It's true to say that not everybody who's frustrated wants to do something about it. So how many, if everybody who was frustrated about something did everything about it, everybody would be super slim, everybody would be super fit, and everybody would be super wealthy. But they're not, because they're not frustrated enough.
I think there are other things like you said, I'm getting 12%. And lots of people would be scared by the fact that you'll say you're getting 12%. If you said
That's true.
I'm getting 5%, why are you?
So I'm not saying what's right for you, I'm just trying to give you some ideas within which you can choose your own parameters. Because when you get into empathy, and we use what we call avatars, so an avatar is just a picture in your mind of a customer, and these are just fun ones. I get property, usually what I do, and we did it on Saturday, is we get the groups, and if we'd had a kind of a day at it, we'd be saying, right, you guys, find out what the problems are for Connie. She's got loads of money in the bank but doesn't know who to trust. Okay? And Karen, you did the pension one, right?
I did.
So pension Pete, he's got money in his pension, he's pissed off with it. So pissed off pension Pete. He doesn't know what to do with his pension and he needs educating. So somewhere down the line, you have to be a source of education. But how can you educate someone else if you don't know what you're doing? You have to get an education. Otherwise, you feel no confidence with anything. So start with empathy, find out their problem, and then we'll work out a solution. So these are the sort of people who we reach out to, and we find probably something like, I don't know, 2.5 million a month of people just come in with these problems because they've heard someone with whom we've helped, and they go, you helped him, can you help me? Okay? Right. So these are the three problems. So what then is the problem with cash?
It's devaluing it every day.
Right. I'm getting a lower interest rate. What else?
Inflation is devaluing it.
Inflation. What else?
It's not an asset, so therefore it's not being utilised.
Who else can think of something other than Chris?
It's not working, is it? It's just static. It's gone,
Right.
isn't it?
Yeah, you could just spend it.
Okay. So that's the problem with cash. But what's the good thing about cash?
It's there.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. I'm not taking any risk with it. Why would I take a risk with you? Good question, isn't it? The way you do that is you create credibility around what the possibility is for them by understanding them. What about the pension? So we'll move on quickly. Not you, Karen. What? Right. Who in this room has got any kind of pension in their life? Company pension? Oh, loads of you. Crumbs, Chris. What are you doing, Chris? They should all be. So, right. Give me a frustration with the pension, Mark.
Accessing it.
Can't get access to it. That was one. Chris?
It's not getting the returns that I'd anticipated. Well, what they sold me in the first place.
Right. Not getting the returns. Right. Being oversold on the return on investment. Richard?
Probably oversold it in the first place.
Oh, that's a different one. Anybody else?
Not much control over it.
No control at all. Not. Right. Here's how you know you got control. If I wake up this morning and I want to buy a piece of property and I know how to create value and I do something to that property, it might take me a bit of time, But could I wake up this morning with a decision to do that and know it'll work? Say yes. That's the answer I'm looking for. Okay. If I wake up this morning and say, I'm an economist, I've got a degree in economics, which I have, so therefore that gives me the right to be able to wake up this morning and influence the stock market. And I'm going to change the value of my portfolio today. Can I do that? Can I do it tomorrow? No. I can't do it. I've got no hope of doing it. The only people who get rich on stock market portfolios are the stock managers. Here's a thought. Well, who laughed?
And you then down the road the fact that pension brokers basically, you take 100% of the risk and you only get 20% of the risk.
Oh, you're spoiling my joke. There's always a killjoy, no. But look, who believes there should be a relationship between risk and reward? Yeah, that's normal, right? Okay, the more you can control, the lower your risk. The more you can control, the lower your risk. If you've got money in the stock market, how much control have you got? None. Okay, so if I'm a fund manager and I'm charging you 1.5%, and if I'm an IFA charging you 0.5%, and you're getting 6, let's say you're getting better than average, how much is coming off your account? 2. How much is 2 as a percentage of 6? 33. So, hang on. I take 100% of the risk, put 100% of the money in, and get 2/3 of the return. Whatever happens, they get paid whether I... Now, I've got an IFA practice. I'm not worried about that because I try and empower people to take responsibility for themselves. I don't like to keep the money. I say, look, don't let me do it. You should do it. This is how you do it. They like that more. Some people still will never take that responsibility. But I don't think that's a fair exchange. So the stock market and the pension industry is fueled by a great marketing machine that's brilliant for everybody else other than you. So those of you who've got a pension, please, please, if you do nothing else, connect with me. Because I'll show you how you can stop that forever. Right? Do you want to know how to do that? It's my favourite subject. And it's this. So Nigel asked the question, what's a SASS? Okay.
Are you talking private pensions or
Any.
business?
I won't get into details because I always get asked complicated questions on pensions and they're often best done individually. But any pension, let's say that's in money, not final salary pensions, benefit-driven pensions, they're often very, very valuable. Any money-based pension, look, a pension is just a box. And in the box, like a game, is a set of rules. And whoever created the box owns the rules. So I've got a client who had a very bright lady. She was there on Saturday. She had £253,000 in a box. And I said to her, what's the relationship you've got with that money? She went, oh no, it's yellow. That's a bit wacky. What do you mean it's yellow, Ben? She said, it's yellow. You know, yellow. I said, what do you mean? And you know what she meant, right? It was Aviva, which is Norwich Union, the yellow colour logo. So all she knew was she had a yellow pension, yellow. Now, she doesn't have a yellow pension anymore. She has a SASS. Now, a SASS is, remember I said you've got to learn language? Okay, so here's a bit of language. Small, self-administered scheme. Right? Now, by the way, 99% of the population never heard of this. So those of you who thought you didn't have money, small, self-administered scheme. I'm running way out of time, aren't I? Are we all right?
Yeah,
I can cut it short whenever you tell me.
is this similar to the Vanguard with Tony Robbins and money?
No, nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it at all, as you'll see. Small, meaning less than 12 people. I don't know why. So if you've got a big scheme, like a big company scheme, then it's big. So it's regulated in a different way. If it's small, less than 12, you can manage it. Self-administered means who sets the box up now? Oh, I like that. Who?
You.
Not me, you. Right. So you get to own it. Now, these are the decisions that have to be made in a box. So if I've got a yellow pension, who decides what I can invest in? Yellow people. Right. If I've got a SASS, who decides what to invest in? Me. If I've got a yellow pension and I'm not 55 and I want to take money out to do a property deal, can I do it? No, because yellow people say no. I'll stop saying. They just want me to invest in the stock market and I can't touch it till I'm 55. In a SASS, you will discover you can use your own money to do property deals right here, right now, whether you're 55, 45, 35 or 25. Benefit. What that means is most pensions, how you get to draw the income from them is you buy an annuity when you reach 65 or whatever, which means you give all your pension money away and then they give you an income stream and when you die they keep it. Right? Or you have to go into something called drawdown, which is like squeezing a toothpaste tube, hoping that there's enough stuff in the tube to keep you going for the rest of your life because the stock market goes up and down. So if you were retiring in 2007 feeling great, when the credit crunch came in 2008 you lost 30% of your money, what did you do wrong? Nothing. In a pension that's yellow, if you want to do a joint venture with Karen on her HMOs or with Chris on his properties because he's feeling a bit sorry for himself, how do we do that? We can't, because the trustee says we created the rules. With a SASS you can JV with whoever the hell you like, including yourself. Okay? So you can actually borrow your own money. So this thing here, so you can buy land and commercial property if you've got your own. You can do commercial to resi, buy a pub and convert it, buy a barn and convert it, buy a chapel and convert it. All of those things we've done. But here's the kicker. You can borrow 50% of your own money at 1.5%. Borrow your own money. So if you've got money in a pot, you can borrow 50%. And then what can you do with it? Karen? Anything you bloody well like.
Anything you like, yes.
Yeah. So this is what one of the big things, the big messages for me is do a JV with yourself. Now, hang on a minute. We said find and focus on one thing. What was the one thing? Whoa, thank you, Chris. Somebody's awake. Finding one person to do a JV with. Who's got a mirror? Do a JV with yourself. Now, if you haven't got a pension, don't worry. Now you know people can do this. Who could they do a JV with? You. Or you could find somebody great at property, like these guys, and you could say, Ben, you've got a pension, you're pension peeved, Ben, and why don't you speak to Chris? He'll tell you how you can convert your pension into this place where you can lend money and you can lend it. And you can just, by the way, if you lend money to somebody and they give you a good return and then they teach you something because you've got a relationship with them, how's that feel? Who's got a great relationship like that with their fund manager? Fund manager? Oh yeah, it's me. Sorry, I didn't get the joke. Yeah. Okay. So you can lend to others as well. Now, this is a way that I encourage non-property people to get property experience, is to find somebody who's great and say, are you unconnected to me? By the way, there's more people in the world unconnected to you than connected to you, right? So connected to you is brother, sister, business partner, wife. Not girlfriend, that's fine. Girlfriend is fine. You can do that. So if you're unconnected, you've just got a couple of little tests. Are you prudent? Does it make sense, basically? And you can say to someone, I would really like to get a great property education, but I don't want to spend the money on the cone of learning just doing the course and then being upsold to another course and then being upsold to another course and then upsold to another course. I meet loads of people and they've done 15 courses, 10 courses, 5 courses. What have they done with that? Often not a lot. My encouragement is, if you're looking to get great knowledge, find somebody who's brilliant at what you want to learn about, whether it's HMO or whether it's commercial residential, and say, what if I lend you some money and you give me a great return on my investment? That's an ROI, good return, say 6%, 7%. And then you teach me everything you know. And then you give me all the connections, your builders, your accountant, your, all that kind of stuff. So you're getting what I call a triple ROI. So you can accelerate your learning. Remember the time poor thing? You can accelerate your learning if you can look into your own pensions or look into others, your parents, your loved ones. These are you laugh a lot. What did I say funny then?
Because we don't have a family to support us. So
That's fine. Well, you've got a family here. We support you. Right. I won't do the thing we did. Or should we do it? Should we do it?
Well, no.
Okay. We did a game on Saturday. And the game was, how you become more connectable is to empathize with the other side. And to be connectable when you're at the beginning of your journey, it's really hard. You must connect with somebody else. Okay? So you have to find someone who would sponsor or work with you, but you need to think about what value you can bring to them. So you have to get to know someone. So maybe someone in this room connect with me and I think I know what he needs, apart from timekeeping. You could probably try and help me. Or you could find somebody, there you go. You could find somebody to help. Could help you could help Chris, you could help someone in property just to learn, like even do your 30-minute leadership thing. What have you called it? Like be on the team.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. So you could go to a PIN meeting or something and be on the team and say, but I need to connect with you. I want to get some of your lessons just by giving them something. We did a game, and the game was, if I'm trying to connect with someone, and I'm creative and full of energy, and I'm trying to talk to someone to do a JV, who's speaking at what speed? Should we do it? So, come on. So, let's say we flipped it, right? I've gone to a PIN meeting or something, and I've said, I'll be sheepish, right? Hi, I'm Kevin. I've been pension peeved for a long time, and I'm now 55, and I've got a wodge of tax-free cash, and I know I don't want to give that back to my insurance company. I want to spend it on property, but you know what? I don't know who to trust. If you can connect with me at the end of the meeting, if you're really good at property, I'd love to connect with you. Now, not too many people say that. If they did, they'd be knocked over. But this is the sort of conversation that might happen. So remember, I don't know the language. So every time you hear something that just sounds a bit weird, that if you don't get the language, just kind of raise your hand or something, right? So see how this
We
goes.
should see lots of hands raised as
Right.
well. We're using lots
So, hi Karen.
Hi Kevin,
Hello.
really great to meet you.
Yeah, you
I
too.
hear you like HMOs, you want to get lots of money.
Oh, right, HMO, right. Well, I'd like some money, yeah.
You're only getting 1% in the bank
Yeah,
and you're looking for about 6%.
yeah, that would be good.
Oh, these rooms in these HMOs.
Ooh,
We've
HMO
got
again.
some multi-lets you might
Multi-let,
be interested in as well.
Right,
Oh, brilliant they are.
all right.
Yeah, we've got some LAs who actually do all of the leveraging for us. So, it's fantastic. Can you imagine?
Yeah, thank you, Karen. Give her a round of applause. This is what happens when property people in the main talk about doing joint ventures, because they've got two things on their side: loads of energy and language they understand. But I don't understand it. So you must slow it down. So those of you who want to get money, all you have to do is slow it down to somebody else's level. So who was who, by the way? Right? Okay, so we teach our property people. Oh, by the way, I always like a little plug for myself. This is what I do. I bring people together with money, with people who are great at doing property deals. It's kind of like bringing them together, like Match.com for people with money and people with property. And one nice lady said to me, well, you can read it, but she said there's a bit of genius going on in there. I don't mind a bit of genius. I'm okay with that. But what we do is we teach people how to attract funding. What's the starting point? Eligibility is rules. Don't break the rules. Understand the rules, which is part of education. Then it's creating the right marketing. And I'll talk to you just a couple of minutes about that. Working out a process. Now, if you're just driven by voice, you're not going to write a process, are you? You've got to think about this as a serious business now. How to make the communication, what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, and then where you're going to go to get your connections. All of these things are really, really critical. And so here's an example of one. So we've got a property guy in Leeds, and he's looking to make great connections, but to slow it down, this is his magazine, which we created for him, which is now, if I'm speaking at 100 miles an hour, I can leave the magazine. Now, what does that do? So you've got my picture, although that's his picture, his story, all the properties he's done, the reason why he's doing it, the ROI he's getting, the type of relationships he wants, the type of training and education he's going to share.
Something to digest in your own time at your own speed.
Okay, so,
It'll come back a minute after you want it. And coming back to it.
and if I meet him, but I don't, my wife hasn't met him, what can I do?
Show
Yeah. So now you're slowing it down for two, because is it true that sometimes you meet someone at a PIN meeting or another meeting and they've got a spouse at home and the spouse isn't there? Yeah. All these things there. So this is what we do. So how you do that is create your own version. You can do it on Blurb. You can do it very simply by creating a simple document and work together with somebody else. Find somebody you trust in property. You guys, you could create a document I'm working together with, which says what? I'm not on my own. Yeah? We're working together as a group. I'm not on my own. Yeah, so you're building that credibility. Anyway, I'm not sure how much left I've got, but anyway. Lots of other things we do, but... Oh! Yeah, we like Chris, so anything we can do that gets the message across to you guys to help you take that first step, we want to do. I'm not so sure I've got too much more, except to say, do you remember the two flows? What were they? Cash flow and deal flow. Now it's the same with you. You're trying to create wealth, which is your current cash and your current relationships into money. And when you do that, it's beautiful. It just works. So if it takes you a while to get it, don't stop being curious. Connect with people who've done this so they can help you. Now, I don't want to do any more because I think I've overstayed my welcome, which I'm very grateful for, and I'm happy to take any kind of direct questions from people who might be kind of wrestling with things. But before I do that, can I say thank you for paying attention to me? And just because I'm tired, a little round would just wake me up. Questions?
Yes, couple of
We
questions.
got time?
And then
Yeah, I just was still awaiting my question to be answered. How can you do it without the involvement of FCA, joint ventures? If you make loans between people that you know, and you're not asking anybody to put their money at equity risk, you don't need to worry about the FCA. Or you get me to vet them that they're high net worth and sophisticated for you, and you can do it that way. You have to follow the rules. You can't not follow the rules, but you don't need to worry about the rules if you
deal with people you know, or you get them vetted by somebody who's capable of vetting them.
But then you don't want them to be involved in the project because you don't want too many cooks.
That's a different issue. I don't understand the question, to be honest, because if you want a great relationship with someone, you want to show them everything. That's really part of the process.
But what I'm saying, during the project, you don't want them interfering that how it should be done. Because
No.
everyone wants things
No.
done differently.
No, you don't, because you're showing them. You're not asking them to do anything. You're just showing them and sharing return. Any other thoughts or questions? Perfect.
So, is the SASS easy to start up, to get going?
The only thing you need to create SASS is a pension in the first place and some idea of creating a limited company, or you've got a limited company already. Because the SASS is for entrepreneurs, it's not for job holders. Yeah, you must have a business. Huh?
That's important for me.
Yeah, but it's possible to connect with other people who've got businesses anyway. You could, if I've got a business and you want to work with me, you could join, you can connect with others. It's no problem to do that. It's a bit more technical, so I would just say, can I put my contact details, or will you share them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll share them to everyone.
Yeah. So if you connect, I would say connect with me on LinkedIn, and if you've got a pension, definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. Say pension help, and I'll explain to you what to do. And I think I've got enough CDs for everyone here, and say thank you.
Yeah.
That's cool. Facebook, yeah, definitely.
You're on Facebook.
Oh,
Yes.
and we have a Facebook group as well.
WealthBuilders
group.
Facebook group.
Again, I will send the link to everyone. Follow up tomorrow's with all the details.
So I'll leave those with you, Chris, and thank you for putting up with me.
I'm just going to quickly mention as well the Declaration of Financial Independence that Kevin has created for the WealthBuilders community. This is really an invitation if you've really resonated with Kevin's message tonight, and I know we haven't really fully gone into the full WealthBuilders message, but if you're committed to your financial freedom, then we have a certificate here, which you're more than welcome to come up, have a look at, and sign. And we invite everyone who's welcome to join the community, upload a photo of their signature and the witness shaking hands. So I know lots of you have signed that already, but if that's of interest.
Yes, by the way, it's free.
Yeah.
So there's no cost to be a member of WealthBuilders. It's just, it says, hey, I'm committed, and I'd kind of like a community around me that supports me. That's all. There's no cost to do this. It's just, I'm trying to create a lot of people who are committed to being independent and sharing with each other. So, if it doesn't hurt you and you're on Facebook, it's great. If not, it's fine too. So, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
One final time, round of applause, please.